Good morning, class. Myself, Monica Parrott. Welcome to Science class, Standard 7. Today we are going to learn our second chapter. Chapter name is Plant, Structure and Function. In last chapter we have seen how there is a diversity among the plants and animals or the living organisms. Before we start our chapter, we will take an overview of what points we are going to cover. Parts of plants: radicle, plumule, root structure and the function of it. Types of roots: taproot. Taproot is of monocotyledonous. Fibrous roots of dicotyledonous. Next will be adventitious roots, modified roots and prop. Before we start our chapter, we have few questions. Let's recall that we will answer first. What help us to easily identify the plants around us? Means how you will say that it's the rose plant only, it's the hibiscus plant only, or these trees of mango only. If I given you these three plants, on what basis you are going to tell that this is the mango tree, this is a rose, and this is hibiscus? Because they are different in color, size, shape. We can say that in rose petals, the petals of rose are more in number as compared to the hibiscus. Even the shape of them is different. These two cannot bear the fruits, but mango tree can bear the fruits. By this difference, we can say that this plant is of rose, this is of hibiscus, and it is of mango. That is, the root, stem, leaves, flower, fruits, etc. of a different plants are different. Each plants having these parts is different, and on that basis we can identify the plants around us. Next question we have: which are the various parts of plant? The parts of plants will be again root, stem, leaves, flower, fruit are the parts of plants. These both questions with their answers you have to write in your notebook by placing the heading of a second chapter on today's date. Now before we start learning the parts of plants, we will learn one experiment. This also you can perform in your home. It is present on page number 10. Keep a moistened ball of crumbled paper in a conical flask. Instead of crumbled moist paper, you can take the cotton balls as well. Place some soaked moot beans or gram seeds in a flask between the paper and glass wall. This we are doing because we will be able to identify the changes happen into that seeds. Changes going on in that seed. Observe and note the changes in the seeds in 2-3 days. This experiment is also in your journals that we are going to write later when your school will start. Now, here two pictures are given. You can observe that in the first picture, I have kept the moth beans in a plastic container, okay, by making it wet or putting some water. After the 2-3 days, we found that a white portion we are able to see from the middle of that seed, and it is very like a fibrous, very thin structure. It is that is the germination. It's the process of growth of plants. In the second diagram, you can observe it's the our experiment need a crumbled moist papers, and in between the wall of glass we put the seed of motorbells. After the few days we found that they start germinating sprouts. Okay, And again, if we allow it to continue in the same manner for a more few days, we can found it, it generates the leaves and stems in it. It's the basic process of growth. Even we are able to see the fine roots of it. We'll start with our chapter. Parts of plants. What are the parts of plants? Root, stem, leaves, flower, fruit. From that we are going to learn first part, that is the root. Now we will take one seed and will place into the moist soil. After 2-3 days we observe some changes into it. What are the changes that we are going to see into it? For this you refer your page number 10, diagram number 2.1, formation of roots. The part that grow inside the seed towards the soil is called as radicle. Inside the soil is called as radicle. And the part that is grow above the soil from the seed is called as plumule. Just remember these two. The part which will be grow from the seed inside the soil is called as radicle, and the part which will start from seed and grow above the soil it's called as plumule. The root that forms from radicle grow into the ground. You can observe this. It will the radicle, that part which will form from the radicle, it will grow into the ground. The root will be thick near the ground and gradually tapers to the pointed end. It goes on increasing. As they goes on increasing, it will be a thick near the soil and gradually tapers to the pointed end. This part of plant growing above the soil and support is called as root. What's the function of it? Growing below the soil and giving a support to the root. Why it is growing below the soil? To provide the water and minerals, and also by spreading into the soil they are providing the support to the roots. I'll show you the picture. See, the root that forms from the radicle, which means which will generate from the radicle, grow into the ground. The root is thick near the ground and gradually tapers to the pointed. You can see in the image 2.2. It's the thick at the beginning, that is near to the soil, and as we go down they goes on tapering, that is goes on decreasing in a size and tapers to a pointed end. Finally the pointed tip we can see. This part of plant growing below the soil will give us support. This is called as root. Now root is of two types, or means the root basic two parts are secondary roots and primary roots. The middle portion which are able to see are the primary roots, and some roots for giving a more support to it and provide a more coverage area for the in search of water and mineral, they grow obliquely. What's meant by obliquely? They not grow straightly, they will grow inclinedly. You can see the secondary root written over here label. They grow obliquely. They are called as secondary roots. And the primary root you can see in the middle. They also contains the root hair. Near the or the below the secondary root, a very small lines you can observe, hair-like structure. They are the root hair. They again go inside the soil to provide more support to the tree. After that, at the end of diagram you can see root tip. Root tip is the growth point or the growth region of a plant. So it is very delicate, and to protect that delicate part of the growth of plant, there is a root cap. A root cap is nothing but the part which protect the root tip from the injury. Okay, understood? The root are nothing but which grow from the radicle. And what's the radicle? That is grow from the from the seed towards the soil. Inside the soil is radicle, and from that radicle the root will form. The root is thick near the ground, and as we go down it goes on tapering, and finally it's the pointed tip. At the end of it there is a root tip which is delicate and the region of growth of plant, and it contains the root cap which protect the root from injury. It also contains the secondary root which grow obliquely to provide the more support to tree. It also contains the root hair. It's the working of it. It's the basic function of a root: to give the support to the plant, to provide the water and minerals to the plant. Now there is a types of root. Basically the roots are categorized into the taproot and fibrous roots. This diagram which you are observing now is the diagram of taproot. Now for the fibrous root we will take one experiment. This you can perform in home as well. For that we are going to take a jar full of water, or 3/4 of water is filled into it, and we will keep one onion on the lid of it in such a manner so that the bottom of onion will be in a contact with water, and we will allow it to sit idly for the 8 days. After the 8 days we found at the bottom of onion some thread like structure. This thread like structure is nothing but the fibrous roots, and upside also we can see some changes in the onion. It contains its grow into the leaf are formed from that. Now that we can also observe the water is also reduced in the jar, because for the growth purpose of the onion soak the water for the growth, and the fibrous roots and the leaf of it are formed. Now you just remember from this is the thread like roots are nothing but the fibrous roots. Now main two types of roots are tap roots and fibrous roots. Dicotyledonous plants have tap roots while the monocotyledonous plants have the fibrous roots. Now what is meant by dicotyledonous plant? The plant which will take a growth from the seed, which can the seed can broke into the two equal parts, are called as dicotyledonous plant. For example, you can take mustard seed or a pea, or even just now we have taken the mothballs. If we make them soak into the water and if we crush them with our hands, we found that they broke into the two equal parts. This is nothing but the dicotyledons breaking into two equal parts. The growth of it will start from the middle of it. Growth of roots and plumule will start from the middle of it. These are the dicotyledons plant. Always the dicotyledons have the taproot, and monocotyledons which will not break into the two equal parts are called as monocotyledons, like the maize we can consider. They form always the fibrous roots. Now here one more experiment is given for you on page number 10, last paragraph. Sow the seed of plants like mustard, sorghum, that is java, maize, corn, pea, coriander in an earthen pot. Cultivate the plant for the 8 days. Once the plants will grow 15 to 20 centimeter height, uproot them carefully while the soil is moist. Why the soil is moist means so that the root will not get damaged. If it is dry and we are forcefully taking it out, the roots will get damaged and we are unable to absorb them. Put them gently in the large conical flasks containing water, so the soil of it will get washed off and you are able to see the roots of it. The soil will get washed off without any harm to the roots, and observe the roots carefully to see which plants have tap roots and which one has the fibrous roots. Okay, again this will give you the idea who are the dicotyledons and even who is the monocotyledons. This also you have to perform in home today. Now, rather than the taproot and fibrous roots, there is a one more types of, there are few more types of roots are also there, that is they are called as modified roots. Means some modifications are done into the roots for performing the some other functions except the prior functions. What is the main functions of roots? Holding and anchoring the soil firmly, absorption of water and minerals, and supporting the plants are the functions of root. Rather than this, few more roots are there. They are called as modified roots. They are aerial roots, stilt roots, runner roots, breather roots. We are going to learn in a further part or in a further standard. Now you can refer your figure 2.4, and we will learn the adventitious roots. What is adventitious root? Here example is given of maize stalk. Now see, it contains two types of roots. Which are that two types of roots? The very basic which are grow below the soil. But some roots are underground where some grow from the stem just above the soil. From that stem just above the soil. This is called as adventitious roots. This also performs the function of anchoring, supporting the plants and providing minerals and water to it. Plants like maize, sugarcane, sorghum have two types of roots. This adventitious roots. Now, one more root we will observe, prop roots. Prop root is seen in banyan tree. You can refer for the banyan tree, page number 11, diagram. This root rises from the branches and they grow towards the soil. You might have observed this. From the branch, again they are coming downside towards the soil. Once they reach to the soil, they support the canopy of the huge tree.